Now we're going to have a look at setting some basic compression to kind of stage the mix. So decide what's going to be coming forward and what's going to be pushed back a little bit. So again, we're just trying to get our foundations for the mix sorted before we then go on to look at things like Track Enhance and the Sculptor module to allow us to really bring things out. But we just want to set our foundations essentially. Now, before we actually do any compression, I just want to organize things a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just route my live drums to a bus. And then we already have our bass routed to a bus. We've got some more synthy bass stuff here, I believe. Yep, these are all synth bass. So I'm going to route these to their own bus as well. Now some of these guitars are left and rights. So I'm also going to take these and route them to buses. This is going to allow me to compress the left and the rights as one rather than having to use two individual compressors. That one's on its own. Then we've got synth lead, that's fine. Strings, I'll send to their own bus. Now on some of these sounds I've added some EQ since I did the last video. Hopefully you've got the idea with the subtractive EQ. We're just trying to kind of frame the sounds to make sure they don't have unnecessary high and low frequencies. So I've just gone through and done a couple more of the sounds. And we have our organ. Our keys, I'm just going to pan those as well. Lead vocal, and then we have these two harmonies, so we'll bust those as well. Okay, so it's just going to mean that we can actually compress the stereo sounds rather than having to put two compressors on the left and the right. Okay, so now we've got those organized. Let's jump in and do some compression. So I'm going to start off with the drums, the live drums here. So let's find a portion of the track which has got the live drums playing. Okay, that'll work nicely. So the idea with this compression is using different attack and release times. We can actually decide how far we want things to come out of the mix. Do we want them to be in the background or in the foreground? The reason for that is when sounds are closer to us, they retain more of their transient energy. And when they're further away, that energy dissipates, so it gets lost as the sound is further away. So if we tame transients, we're going to push a sound back. And likewise, if we tame the transient and then we hold the sustain in place, it's also going to push the sound back even further. So if we have a fast attack and a slow release, the sound is going to recede in the speakers. And if we have a slow attack and a fast release, it's going to come forward. Let me demonstrate. So with this live drum bus, I'm going to place a Neutron 3 compressor. Now I'm going to do this in vintage mode, which is a bit more lively and colourful than the basic, more transparent mode. And I'm going to set it to peak, so it's going to respond to the peak signal. Okay, so let's get some audio playing. I'm going to bring down the threshold so it's going to get triggered by some of these peaks. So we don't need a huge amount of compression, kind of 1 to 2 dBs is enough. Now, if I put in an attack time of 30 milliseconds, that's going to allow the transient to pop through and it's going to start compressing after 30 milliseconds. And if we bring the release time to also be fast, 30 milliseconds. That's going to mean the transient's going to pop through, the sound's then going to be compressed, and then once it falls below the threshold, it's going to kind of boomerang back up, and it's going to do it very quickly, so it's going to be pumping quite a lot. I'm just going to add a bit of makeup gain. So can you feel that when I unbypass it, it actually comes forward in the speakers. So when it's bypassed, it feels like it's further away. So when it's bypassed, it recedes more in the speakers. Now I think it actually sounds better receding in the speakers. But we could accentuate that. So let's set an attack time of 5 milliseconds, so very, very fast. And let's set a much slower release. So now when I unbypass it, the sound's even further back in speakers, and when it's bypassed, it's in its original position, which was a little bit further forward. Now I think with that in, it does a quite good job of allowing the guitars and the vocals to sit on top of the drums a little bit. Now, there's no right or wrong answers, but I think for this, I'm going to stick with this compression set up this way so that the vocals and the musical elements kind of sit on top of the drums and feel a little bit further forward. Now, ordinarily, I'd probably copy this compressor onto the individual elements of the drum kit, but I'm just going to deal with it on the bus for now rather than having to copy it across to each individual sound, because I think that's already sounding pretty good. Okay, we're going to carry on applying compression in the next video. Thanks for watching.